Hello everyone, let's get started with the session. Today's agenda would be Selenium and we will start with the process. My name is Abresh and I have been working into IT industry from past 10 plus years. And during my journey, I have worked with a lot of corporate training assignments. I am a corporate trainer wherein I handle automation testing tools, and at present, the experience is around 10,000 plus learners I have trained till date, which includes the corporate and public. I take care of various tools, right from Selenium to robot framework to UiPath to various other tools like Cucumber. And along with that, I do deal with DevOps related tools, not all, but some of the tools like GitHub, Git and GitHub, Jenkins, Maven, and all. When it comes to my professional career, I have been working with as a full-time freelance corporate trainer plus consultant and plus content developer. So these are the three profiles which I handle in the industry. And when it comes to the consultant side, I have been working with a lot of various MNCs, and my major agenda is towards giving them services to solve their problems. And there I have handled around 35 plus projects till date, which consist of majorly more than 1 year projects. And there are some projects which belongs to almost like 5 years. I've been working on those projects. So those are long-term projects that we have dealt with. During my journey, I have learned one thing while going through all those training sessions. That is basically when you want to achieve yourself in terms of growth, the first thing and the foremost important thing that you should remember is the more you learn, the more you practice, the more you grow. So keep learning and keep practicing is the motto that I follow in my life as well. And I would suggest everyone to follow that because that gives you confidence in the long run. So that's a bit introduction about myself. So the topic we have kept is how to write and run a test case in Selenium. Now, what is Selenium? Selenium, why Selenium comes into the picture of any testing person, any person who is looking for a testing expertise? Why every time everybody talks about Selenium? What is Selenium? What kind of product is this? What exactly does it do for us? Let's have an understanding first, and then we will be in a better place to understand. Okay, this is the best part of Selenium, and that is why people talk about Selenium also. And so much of importance is given to Selenium. The first question, why use Selenium, right? So when we say why use Selenium, Selenium is an open source and a free tool. It's available for free. Yes, definitely it's available for free, and it is an open source tool. Now, how many of you are aware that, okay, open source tool is something which is to do with contribution around the world? Okay, so when we say open source product, that doesn't mean it's free. See, free and open source are two different things. Open source process means wherein you have your project shared on a public place wherein people can contribute to improve your product, and if you consider it right to suit your product, you can incorporate those things. And it's like wherein many experts, you might be an expert into something, and at later stage you may reach out to a situation where you don't have that skill set anymore, or you are not updated with the latest technology, and somebody else is there who can contribute and support you. In that case, they can also do that. And open source community is a community wherein people support each other to grow, to help others to come out with their problems, as well as they also support the products which they like. And if they feel that, okay, this product needs to be growing, they support you in terms of making the product better and better. So some enhancements, some issues, some bugs, whatever is there, they try to solve it, or they try to help you how to solve it. Okay, so that's a overall idea about this. So when we say Selenium, Selenium is one such open source product which was brought in 2005 and so. And during that point of time, open source was not so famous. but still it became so much important in the industry that nowadays you will hardly see any company, any IT company, which does not have any of their projects, any at least one project will be definitely be there in every company wherein they are using Selenium. Okay, even if they are there are brands like IBM and all, even there they use Selenium, even though they have their own products. Okay, but based on the budget, based on the other criterias, they have to use Selenium. They come to a situation where Selenium is better choice at that particular situation. So Selenium is used widely with every organization, every place, and the reason why it is famous is because it supports you with every operating system. You are a person who works with Mac, comfortable with Mac, you can still work. You are a Linux based a person who loves working with Linux, you can still work. Windows still work. Any operating system you talk about, it is supported with this. Selenium can be installed and used without any difficulties. When you talk about web browsers, there are so many web browsers in the industry, right? Every day new brands are coming up, new products are coming up, but the only products that are very stable enough in the industry, those are basically Chrome, Firefox, you have Safari, you have Internet Explorer, which is getting replaced by Edge, and then you have Opera. All these browsers that you name at the top level, they all are supported. Selenium can automate any application on any browser, provided it is a web application. So Selenium works with web application, and if you want to automate any application, you can automate using Selenium. The only thing is you need to select the right steps to do it. Apart from this, there is one more additional point, which is programming language. So what happens in general scenario is some people are more comfortable with Python. Nowadays we are more looking at industry growing towards Python and Java. These are the two languages which are on top level. Then comes the C sharp and all. But in the olden time, when people were going through their education, they went for going with either Java or C sharp at that point of time. So they are more comfortable with it, right? It may happen that you have an organization where you are working in an organization where the previous employees have created their source code, or they were working with Java, and now you have new team which is working on Python. Still there is no much of differences or no much of difficulties in shifting your projects from Java to Python, because they will not expect you to move yourself to Java, right? Rather than you can shift the project into Python also. So because it is flexible enough, it supports every programming languages. You talk about Python, PHP, .NET, Perl, Ruby, C sharp, any programming languages you talk about, it is supporting Selenium. So Selenium can be used using any programming language, any browser you can automate on, you can work on any operating system, and you can still finish your task which you want to do. So that's the beauty why Selenium is preferred. Now, coming back to the components or counterparts. So basically, what we say is when you go for Selenium, the most important thing that you should know is comparative study. What exactly Selenium offers, what it does not offer, where it is good, where it is bad. If you know that, you can be the best one to decide whether it is good or not. So let's understand that with this chart. When it comes to the license part, you don't require any license with Selenium. You don't have to pay anything, or maybe you don't need any kind of approval or verification needs are not there. You just have to download and install it and run it. That's the beauty of it. Whereas if you talk about the competitive product, HP is one of them, which is QTP, which keeps on changing its name basically. IBM RFT is there. Then you have Test Complete as well. Okay, so when you talk about these three products, they are very costly product. HP QTP is somewhere around 1 lakh per user. Depends how your company deals into it, but it's mostly on a very higher cost. Test Complete also comes with like $1,000 or 1,000 euros or something. So IBM RFT is also such kind of costly product. So when you see that the cost that is incurred per user is very high with these. See, if the cost and the license, if you need a license, you first thing is you need a license. Without license, you cannot access. Second thing is to get the license itself, you need to pay a very high amount. Now, if you are paying for a higher price, it is ultimately going to result where? The overall cost of the project. Obviously, that will be the impact of the project on the project cost. And if the project cost is increasing, the chances of attracting your client is reducing, right? So there are a lot of impact on these things also. Customer support wise, yes, I do agree. They all three are at a better stage because of the premium support that they give you. But when it comes to the speed, the kind of response you get from the open source community of Selenium is much better as per my experiences, because whenever I faced any kind of latest bugs or latest issues I've raised, compatibility issues I've raised, I was able to get the solution within max to max half a day of the, like 3 to 4 hours. I should be getting the responses, and I was able to come out of those problems. So I don't feel that it's a big challenge working with Selenium, even though they don't have a premium support. When it comes to coding side, yes, this is not for people who do not want any kind of coding to be done, because none of the product works without coding. There is some coding skill set required in all of the four products. But when you have to compare a bit, Selenium is on the highest side. The reason for it also, I'll tell you, the reason is very simple. It gives you complete control on yourself. The more you know with the programming side, the more you have the skill set with the programming, you can develop the code as deep and as strong enough that you want. Okay, so there is no limitation that you come across. It's totally up to you. You are an expert in Java. You can develop the code, the automation to that extent that nothing is there which is not working for you. Okay, whereas these things are a little on the limitations side. So low low kind of low we can say, but a basic level coding is sufficient for these two products. Test complete also needs good knowledge of it in terms of any programming language that are supported for these products. When it comes to the environment support, you can see they only work with Windows, IBM and HP. Test complete supports Windows only, and OS operating system. Some of the additional they are increasing, they are trying to work out on those side. But Selenium is the only tool which supports all. When it comes to the programming side also, you can see the list is very large. You have a lot of options, and these are the options which are generally used in the industry. So mostly any person you hire or any person you're working with, they would be able to cooperate, they would be able to use Selenium smoothly. There are several tools to test other types of application. Okay, it can be any kind of application. But when it comes to a dynamic web app, now what do you mean by dynamic web app? Is basically an application where the functionalities are more fluctuating. Like you talk about an e-commerce website. Okay, let's talk about an amazon.com.in. So when you say amazon.in, when you open up, every time you search, even a small change in your search reflects the display of options changes, right? So it impacts um, your previous step results into change in the future process, or what you will be able to get the result changes based on what you type into the search. So they are basically more dynamic in nature. Many times you will see that drop downs are changing, there are features are changing, and sometimes the internal process wherein the how do we communicate with the browsers, those things, some of the features they keep on changing. The locations of the options, let's say if there are options of shirts, t-shirts, formals, and so on. So there is a list of options, but those options might keep on changing depending on the change by the developer side, or maybe they are purposely doing it. So those kind of dynamic web applications are handled by Selenium very well. You have the functionalities with which you can work smoothly with Selenium, and that's the beauty of Selenium. Okay, so these are some of the important things that makes you understand why Selenium is so important and what exactly are the reasons why we focus more on the Selenium part. Now the next thing that we need to understand, we got the understanding basically why part we are done. What is Selenium? Selenium is an open source tool that can automate almost any browser on a very different way. I would say Selenium automates web browser. It will automate your web applications, and whichever application in the world you are trying to access through a browser, there are ways to automate that with Selenium. Even if you are unable to do, there would be hardly like 10% of the application, which I have never seen. I would say, I still say 90. The reason is there might be some of the applications, those internal applications or something like which are internally available in an organization, may be some of those kind of applications which you cannot automate with Selenium. But mostly, as per my experience, I have never seen any kind of applications if it is accessible as a browser application. If it is a web app, let's consider it in a simpler understanding. If it is a web app, it can be automated with Selenium. You talk about any functionality, any feature of the web application, you can automate that. It might take some more efforts, sometimes it might take less efforts, but possibility is there with Selenium. So Selenium can automate any web application. Now, many people, those who have a manual testing background, you might have worked on various testing requirements, and you have too many large set of test cases. You have to do a lot of testing for each test case. You go fill the form. Let's consider on a very simpler side form. A form is there and you have been asked to check it with 100 set of data, 100 data set, then it would be a tedious task for you, right? Because you'll always go to the Excel sheet, copy that, paste it into the form. Then again, you go back to the second entry, copy that, paste it. This way, 10 entries you have and one form is there, and then you have to fill it, then submit it, capture the results, and then enter the data into your report, and then submit that. So this way, there is a lengthy process which is error prone, time consuming, and tedious also, and more of a manual efforts. Here, to resolve this kind of issues, Selenium is the best one, because with Selenium, I can sit relaxed. I can be relaxed by writing one part of code, which might take a half an hour for me to fill up a form. So for a form, I'll take 10 to 15. Maybe I'll take much lesser than, but let's consider that half an hour I took to automate, to write a script to automate a form. And then the moment I do it, I will sit relaxed, and the system will take care of the rest of the execution part. So that is the beauty of automation. And with Selenium, the automation is so much robust that you do not have to worry much in terms of failures, in terms of difficulties. So there would be very few chances where your scripts are not, there are no commands available to automate a particular feature. Very rarely. It is just, it might happen when you don't have the latest versions. So it might happen that a new feature is released just yesterday and you're using it, trying to automate that. It may not work, but within a week or so you should get some updates available, and that is the beauty of Selenium. So it works very fast, it updates itself very fast, and it's useful for any web application automation. Focus is only on web application, so it does not work for any desktop based or mobile applications. For mobile applications, there is a different product called as APM, which is based on Selenium, but it is a different tool altogether. But Selenium only focus on web application. So if you want a web application to be tested and automated, Selenium is the best choice. Okay, so Selenium can only be used to test web applications. Selenium is fast and easy to use even with large set of data and has a guaranteed accuracy. Now this is talking about when you are, as I gave you an example of this form, right? So the form itself is an example for this point, wherein it clearly says that even a large number, now today it might be 100 data set, tomorrow it might be more, right? So in that case, you should be able to do it. And now the other beautiful part of Selenium is, even if your data changes, you just have to change the data file and make a very small amount of change into your script as giving the identity of the file, changing the path of the file, and you're done. Your script will run smoothly without any deviations, any difficulties. That's the beauty of fluctuation, or I would say flexibility that it gives you. That is beautiful with Selenium. Selenium directly runs script from any web browser to automate a web application and test it. Now, since you are very clear about why Selenium and what Selenium, let's understand what are the types of tools are available in Selenium. Selenium is a tool. Then why are you talking about types of tools in Selenium? Confusing, right? Don't worry. I'll remove that confusion. Selenium is basically given as a common name to these tools. It's a package, it's a suite which consists of 4 different tools. So Selenium is a package of or suite of 4 tools, wherein you have Selenium IDE, integrated development environment. Then you have Selenium Grid, which is for network connectivity, Selenium RC, and Selenium WebDriver. RC stands for remote control. IDE stands for integrated development environment. Now, a combination of 4 tools for various purposes, they are released and they help the users with different kind of needs, and they come into the category, or they come under the brand called as Selenium. It's a product, it's a complete suite which consists of Selenium ID, Selenium Grid, Selenium RC, and WebDriver. Now, coming back to all 4 tools, I'll give you a brief about it. Selenium IDE is an integrated development environment. What does that mean? So basically, it's a tool. You can install it as a plugin into your browser, but it only supports Firefox and Chrome browser. Okay, these are the 2 browsers where you can use Selenium IDE. It's a record and playback tool. So you just click a recorder button and you start doing a task. Then comes the grid. Now, grid is a kind of tool which allows you to connect multiple machines. Now, you want to test your application. Isn't it not important that you should be checking whether it is suitable and whether it is compatible with your Mac users, whether it is compatible with Mac and Safari combination, whether it works smoothly with Windows and Edge combination, whether does it throw any kind of difficulties with Windows and Opera. So all these permutation and combination needs to be checked for an application, and in that case, Grid helps you to connect virtual machines or real machines. Okay, you can connect either of them. So this Grid can help you to automate. Now, when you run on Grid, when you actually make use of Grid, it is actually using Selenium WebDriver. Now, what is Selenium WebDriver? I'll come to that. First, we'll talk about Selenium RC. Selenium RC is obsolete. Currently, it is no more in use and it's obsolete. It has been removed from the package. The suite does not cover anymore about RC. They have discontinued it because whatever feature was there, it has been merged and incorporated as an upgrade to Selenium WebDriver. So here, Selenium RC was able to communicate through a Selenium RC server, and that communication was reaching to your browser. That interaction was completed with the help of Selenium RC server. But now RC server need is not there because they have created an improved version. They have developed an improved version called as WebDriver, a different product, but it is based on improvement or lacunas of RC. Now, WebDriver can do many other tasks, many additional features are there. WebDriver helps you to automate any web browser, any web application that can be accessed through a web browser. So if you want to automate a web browser, you need WebDriver. Now, WebDriver takes the help of Grid to connect to different machine if required. WebDriver automatically can also contribute in automation. Basically, WebDriver is useful for automating within the machine. Within that system, you can automate any application, but if you want to connect or run your test on different machines, then you need the support of Grid. That's how the process happens, and that's an overview of the Selenium suite. So RC no more in need and no more available. So only WebDriver, Grid, and Selenium IDE are the three components of Selenium suite. Currently, this 3.12 version, the latest release is also another upgrade is there, 3.141. 141 doesn't mean that there have been so many versions between this and that. There are less versions, but they give you numbers on a on the basis of which is working fine. So I'll go through that also while I touch up on the website part. So Selenium RC, however, was merged with WebDriver and launched a new as Selenium WebDriver with better functionality. So this is the diagram which I will show you. Uh, okay, so Selenium 1, which was released when IDE, Grid, and RC was there. There was no WebDriver initially. This was released with version number 1 of Selenium, wherein IDE was there, Grid was there, and RC was there. At that time also, RC was very popular. But the moment people started facing some difficulties with the connectivity between the communication between the RC server and the browser, or RC server and your script, so then someone came up with a better upgrade and WebDriver was brought in. Later on in version 2, WebDriver, RC server, Selenium RC, Grid, and Selenium IDE was there. Okay, but later on they completely incorporated RC into WebDriver. All the functionalities, if you have an old project which is developed in RC, and if you want any support, you can still work because it's incorporated into WebDriver. So it can be used, but it's very difficult. So according to the developers, they feel it is always good to move to WebDriver and keeping the old script till now. So RC is no more available, and this is the improved version called as Selenium WebDriver. How to install it, how to do the setup. I will give you a brief idea about the setup process, and that is very simple. You need three tools. Okay, first is your programming language. So here we are referring to Java. So you need to install Java. Then you need to install Eclipse. So to write your code, we use Eclipse, where we create our script and we execute the script. To run the script or to automate using Selenium, you need to download few files for Selenium, which allows you to access the information or the API of Selenium. So let's go ahead further. I will not be downloading Java and Eclipse, but we will do the setup for Selenium. We will see what all files you need for Selenium. Okay. So the first thing that you need to do is open up your browser and look for selenium.dev. This is the official website of Selenium. The first part that you see on the home page, it clearly specifies that Selenium automates browsers. That's it. It doesn't do anything other than that. But what you do with that power is entirely up to you. So they straight away say that it is all up to your skill set. How much better you can use this, how much knowledge you have, to what level you can utilize your knowledge. It's all up to you as a user. This is the beauty of this, the flexibility that it gives you. So you can automate any web browser, any application which can be accessed through a web browser. So here you can see now it says that only WebDriver IDE grid. First question is what is to be downloaded? So you have already kept Java ready. So you should verify first if you have the Java installed or not. So let's open up your command prompt. And the moment you open up, you just type in Java space minus minus version. And the moment you do that and hit enter, it should reflect you version of Java. Okay. So in my case, it is reflecting some issue because I'm connected on an different environment. There are some virtual environments also available, so it's not reflecting. But you will definitely get the Java installed message saying that this is the version that is installed into your system. So it's minus minus is not working because I work on Linux and other things and other operating systems also. So sometimes that could be a reason. So Java minus version, Java space minus version. Type this and you will get 1.8. Currently I'm using 1.8 and mostly you'll see that people with automation expertise or other expertise, they are still on the version 1.8. That was the best and the most comfortable version. You can still upgrade it, no problem, because that's the minimum requirement. You can go for any latest version also. There is no difficulty with it. It's just because I have some other different tools that I use wherein the compatibility issues are there. So I'm still on 1.8. I might upgrade later on, but as of now, it's 1.1.8. That is basically 8th version of Java. Currently, it's 9, 10, and 11, 12, and 13, and 14 is also released somewhere. So go ahead and upgrade yourselves. That's fine. So I have Java available. Now the next thing that I need is Eclipse. So here is my Eclipse available. I am using 2020 09 version. Okay, so 2020 09. You can go ahead with an upgraded version also or older version also. Anything is fine. So I have Java available. I am ready with Eclipse, right? So two things are ready. Now what is to be done? Now Selenium, how to access Selenium? So as I said, you just have to type in Selenium API in Google and it should show you some response. In that response, okay, in that response, here you can see the URL called as overview, Selenium WebDriver. Basically, this is the access of API. You can see the internal API. What is API? API is a collection of classes, methods, interface, and a combination of functionality that it offers. Okay, so whatever functionality it can offer, it is available inside these various classes, methods, packages, and interface and other things, right? So this can also be viewed from this. So you can view them because when you practice, when you learn, I prefer if you use this documentation, it gives you an idea and a better understanding what else it can do. Okay, so it is an enhancement technique. Here is our API, which gives us an understanding that these many packages are there, these many classes are there, and these many internal information is reflected. Whatever internal, the moment you click on any particular file, it will be reflecting that. So let's look for WebDriver. It should give me the find option. Yeah, okay. Okay, the moment I start searching for WebDriver, you will see some of the options. Let's quickly reach out to the correct option that I wanted to show. So this is an interface. WebDriver is an interface, and this interface can be accessed with the help of these implementing classes. So you can take the help of these implementing classes to access the interface. Now, why do I need this interface? Because this is the class or this is the interface which can interact with my browser, any browser. So close the browser, interact with various elements, or you want to quit the browser, or you want to get the title of the window, or any interaction that you want to do. It is inside this class of WebDriver, an interface called as WebDriver. But to to use this feature of WebDriver, you need to implement it through any of the browsers that you want to automate on. Okay, so to automate this, you need to download a few things. One is, this is the file. So you directly open up Selenium website and click on downloads page. And you have this file called as 3.141.59. Now this is a file which you have to download. First file is this. Okay, then there is a Java binding library. So whichever programming languages you are using, you have to use that binding libraries. And basically what does they do is it gives you access to use the language and use the API of Selenium with that, connected with that language. Okay, so Java, for Java you need Java libraries. If you're using Java programming language, then you need Java binding libraries. If you're using Python, then Python libraries. Okay, and you can download them from here. Do not go for alpha variant, it's still under improvement phase, so it is not recommended. Go for download, it will download this latest version 3.141.5. The moment you download this and this file, the upper side file, this file, you can use this file with Eclipse, which I'll show you. Then another, apart from this is only to communicate between Java and Selenium. What is the other file that you need is browser binding files. Okay, there are browser drivers. Now Selenium does not directly communicate to the browser because you do not have the browsers developed by Selenium. So Selenium is able to access the browser by an intermediary, which cannot be purely said as an intermediary, but it connects to the browser or interacts with the browser with the help of drivers. Now these drivers are basically a front end of the browser which is reflecting the information about the browser without giving access to its source code. Okay, so it is just a front end way to communicate with those browsers. So for Chrome you can download it from here, for Opera from Safari. So when you click on these links, it will take you to the documentation. From the documentation, based on your browser version, you will select the right option. So whichever browser you're using, you will select that browser version, download it. It has to be upgraded every time the browser upgrades. Okay, it has to be done manually. This is a must. So this API, this particular download process gives you an exe file. So I'll show you all the files also quickly. Okay, so whatever files we have downloaded are kept over here. So you can see these are the internal inside. When you get a file, when you download something, it will be a zip file or a jar file. If it is a zip file, you will get these files available. These will be zipped into one, that is Java binding libraries. And this is the Selenium server standalone jar file, which is helpful to interact with Selenium APIs and the Java API. So Java and Selenium combination requires all of these files. You need these files by default. Now I have kept them in one location. Now what about driver files? So there is some driver files which are basically exe files. If you double click, it will not do anything. It will not reflect anything because it's a front end to a browser that is already installed in the system. So you trigger the command and that triggered command communicates with this Chrome driver.exe, and that will inform the browser and execute the task on the real browser. That's how it works. So we need all these files by default. So let's look at the other side of it. What exactly are the steps that we need to handle? So let's create a project first. So first we'll go to new, right click, go to new and go to Java project. Now this is a Java project. We are just creating a simple plain Java project as of now. It is just a normal Java project. Okay. So here I'll name it as Selenium underscore webinar. Okay, and here I will just say finish. Before you click on finish, you can select any of these options. If you want to change anything, you change it, or else go for default option. Whatever default JRE you have installed, that should be selected. Click on finish and it will create a project for us. Now this is my Java project. Now, since Java is installed into my system properly, that is the reason I can see JRE system libraries available to me over here. If your Java is not installed, this will not appear. Okay, it has to be installed and then only you can access it. Now, the other part of it, how do I configure my project? Now, this is a simple Java project. It is not a Selenium project. It's just a Java project. Now, even if I write any command, things will not work. I'll show you that. Let's see the situation. Let's create a situation and see. Now, I will create a class now. Before I create a class, I should give a package name. Always remember, package name is also important. Otherwise, it will take your default package. Okay, I'll name it as demo. And then over here, I'm saying as test case 1. Okay, always remember package names are starting with small letters and class name should always start with capital letters, and it has to be used as camel case. No spacing allowed. Now, another part, when you're working with Java programs, the basic thing says without a main method, you cannot run or execute a class. So here also it implies, and we select the main method. So public static void main string, finish. The moment I do this, I get a basic Java class file. This is a basic Java class file. It's nothing more than that. It's just a simple Java class file. Okay. Now, when you see over here, what you see is basically just a Java class file. So what do? How do I make it a WebDriver class, or how do I use it as a Selenium? So first thing I'll show you what is the difference. Why do we need the files? I'll show you that. I'll generate a need and then I'll show you. For time being, don't try to understand the command. I'll explain you a little later. I'll come back to this command, but just look at that. Now, this is one of the command of Selenium. Okay, there is a command which is reflecting the moment I write this, it reflects that WebDriver is showing us red. Now it says WebDriver cannot be resolved to a type. So those who have an idea about Java, they will have a clarity that there is something which is missing. There is something which is missing from this project. Now, if you go to the Chrome driver also, it shows you that create a class called as Chrome driver or fix the project. Okay, and it says Chrome driver cannot be resolved to a type. Everywhere it is showing us the same response. And the only difference is here 5 quick fixes are available. Here only 2 are available. Okay, but do you know it is not giving us the right response? Why? Because our connectivity is not done. So I'll show you now. If you have seen this, the options, you just focus on this option. It says class creation, interface creation, enum creation, and add type parameter or fix the project. These are the options. Now I'll change the option. You will see the change. Quickly go back to the project, right click on the project, go to build path, right click on the project, go to build path, go to configure build path. The moment you enter the configure build path, look whether you are in the libraries part or not. If you are over here or somewhere else, click on this libraries. Here we have to configure or connect our API of Selenium. So for that, I will click on add external jar files. Now these are the jar files which are available externally. We have downloaded separately and we have kept them separately. So it's external jar files. Click on this and navigate to the place where you have this jar files kept. So I have all these jar files, jar files are available. I will select all, open them. The moment I do this, okay, the moment I do this, they will be connected over here. They will be added over here. Now, if you can see that these are the available jar files, I will just say apply and close. Okay, within few seconds, within a second of time, it will be done. Now you can see the difference is referenced libraries. This is a new option visible now, referenced library. Now whenever you go to WebDriver, Now, if the libraries are configured properly, let me refresh it. So if you go to this, now you see the options have changed. See, the options have changed and increased, almost 15 options it is showing. The first one is what we actually need. Okay, it's basically we need to import the class, the interface file into our program so that it allows me to access all the internal methods of my WebDriver interface. And go back to your Chrome driver also, and then import that as well. So there is one class called as Chrome driver class. This class is trying to execute your browser, but to execute the commands on the browser, you need to implement your interface called as WebDriver. So it's saying basically what does it do is basically it's saying, hey, look, WebDriver, I want to run a browser called as Chrome, and I want to refer that as a driver. So this is the understanding of this statement. But with current situations, if you want to automate Chrome browser or any browser, you need to tell the system that where does that exe file resides. So there is a command for it which you have to run before this command: system dot set property. Okay, system dot set property. Okay, not properties. IES is not the option, TY is the option. So select that. It will expect two inputs from you. What are the two inputs? You have to put the inverted colon and say that I am looking for WebDriver dot Chrome dot driver. Just mention this. It's a predefined command. So it's defining that I am looking for a WebDriver execution on Chrome browser using the driver, that is the exe file. Here the driver does not mean this driver. It means the exe files. Now, the moment you're done with this, here you have to give the path of that file. Which file? The driver file, this file. So take the path from here like this way, copy this, and then go to this. You just have to go back, paste it. Java automatically adds this, okay? And now your path is mentioned over here. Now, why do you need this? Because you need to tell your system that this is the file on which you have to run all the process. And trying to automate WebDriver using Chrome driver, using Chrome browser, okay? And this will be able to automate or open up. This is the command to instantiate the web browser, okay? Or you can consider it to be opening a browser. This is the command to open your web browser. So I'll run this. Just right click, run as Java application, and the moment I hit enter over here, the moment I hit this, you will see browser open up in few seconds. Go, then definitely it will execute. See, another part, while it is getting executed, now you can see the execution is done. See, it says starting Chrome driver. This is the version. Only local connections are allowed. This is just an intimation information. It says that your Chrome browser is ready, up and running. And we can see that browser over here. And when you see the browser, it will also show you Chrome is being controlled by an automated test software. And this is happening because we are running Chrome driver. Got it? So this is how you can automate or open up your browser. I'll show you some more commands to perform some activities on a particular application. We'll see that. Okay. This command helps you to automate your browser. Every browser have a different commands. Little differences are there. Currently, we'll focus only on one browser and we'll run one particular steps. Now, let's open up application. Now, I am not going to open up this. So I'll take you to a blog of mine. Okay, so this is one of the application, or I would say a small blog that I have that I have designed. That is an application which I have where I have collected a lot of functionalities which can be useful in the initial level learning process. Okay, because sometimes it becomes difficult when you're learning and you don't get to see that feature on any particular web page, because the application that you are accessing, maybe Facebook or LinkedIn or Amazon or any application, they might change from time to time. So sometimes a pop-up is available, may not be available tomorrow. It happens like half an hour before I was working on a particular application and they have removed that feature completely. So then that kind of situation will come to you as well while practicing. See, it doesn't appear when you are actually working on a project because you are aware about it. Whatever change will happen in your projects, you are going to get an information in advance. Here, these are the applications which are designed by someone else. So we have to handle those situations because they are not going to come to us and tell us that, okay, this is a feature which I'm disabling. I'm removing this top pop-up, or I'm introducing a new pop-up. Such features will not be known to us. So to avoid that during the learning process, I always recommend use this just for as a reference material, or maybe initial level understanding purpose. Okay, so here I'm going to take you to a particular page where I'll show you a bit of information so that you get an idea. So this is a simple form. Okay, it says first name, enter your first name, last name, address, then perform some other activities. Right, so this example I'll explain you by entering the information. Okay, so first thing, we will go back to the script and we'll write down the steps that we are going to do. Now open the AUT application under test. Okay, so the application which is to be opened, to open an application, okay, you need to run using driver. So you have to call the driver every time. That will refer to the Chrome browser using the WebDriver interface. So the single object that we have created is helping us to connect two of these classes and refer the usage of these methods available inside these classes with smoothly. So driver dot get. The get command helps us to open up the URL of that application. So within the inverted colon, I will paste the URL of this application. So let's open up and paste it. The moment I paste it, I am done. So this is one command that we have completed. So I'm opening the application. Now what is the other task that I have to do? I have to enter the form fill. Okay, let's say form filling process. Now here, first step would be to enter the first name. Enter first name, last name, address, and so on. Okay, we'll add up if we once we complete this, we'll add up those things later. So form fill, first name is the process, form fill. Okay, now we will start writing the commands over here. To do the now here I need to write a command which will allow me to type into that text box. So the command says driver dot find element within this bracket by dot name, and within this I will mention the details and then the act. So the act is to type, so send keys. Now I'll explain you this command also quickly. So basically what does this command says is, basically it is saying that driver, look, you have to find out an element. What is an element? Anything that is available, anything that is available on a web page is an element, is a web element for Selenium. For Selenium, everything is a web element. So a text box is a web element, a checkbox, a radio button, everything is a web element, right? So here we are saying that, hey, look, find out a text box. Now, how does it finds it? So right click and say inspect. Okay. When you do this, it gives you some properties of this particular element. Now, out of those properties, there are some techniques called as locator technique. Okay, for now, just understand that attribute name. So this is the name of the attribute. This is the value of the attribute. So ID is a locator technique. Name is a locator technique. Class name, CSS, XPath, then you have tags, name, many things are there. So all these locator techniques have different needs at different situation. You will use different locator techniques. Okay, various locator techniques and sub options are also there within that. XPath is a customized one, and then later on. So it will move on more in detail. Consider that, okay, name is the first option that is available. So let's take that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this TS underscore first name, this much. Okay, I'll copy this, go back to my script. Over here, within the name locator technique, I will paste the value. So with this, system will be able to find out whether that text box is available or not. If it is available, it will type into it. So send keys is used to type. So here I will say Apresh. Similarly for here also. Now here the command remains the same. So I can copy paste and update. This I have to update. Here I have to update my last name. So we will go back. We will locate this element. Now it says name as TS underscore last name. You can also use the ID. Let me show you with ID. So here I'm going to change this, and I can mention the ID locator technique. Okay, and in send keys, I will just type my surname. Okay, the moment I do this, I am done. So I can type in with the first name, last name. Similarly for address also, we'll add up the address little later. So if I right click and say run as Java application, the moment I do, I will sit relax and system will do the task for me. So let me show you both sides. So this is the background activities on the command side. So this is how the page is loaded. It will look for the locator technique. If locator techniques are matching, it will execute the task on the browser. Now it might happen that because of the speed of execution, okay, it's working fine. So you can see it is typing my name on the right text box the way I have thought of, and on the last name text box the way I wanted it. Correct. So it is typing, or it is performing the task of automation by first opening the browser, then reaching out to that URL. Once the URL loads properly, then it will look for that element that I'm trying to interact with, and then it will perform the activity. So this is a very simple understanding, and it's very easy to do. Mostly the commands would be like repetitive commands also. If you have 10 forms to be filled up, you can simply do it. It's very easy to do tool. The only difficulty comes up is when you have a very difficult project, a project which is difficult to develop itself, or a project which is of banking websites or e-commerce websites. There you have to use some advanced concepts, but they are not that difficult if you have a right learning path. I hope that was a good learning experience for all of us, and I hope you guys like the session. Thank you so much. Bye bye.